this project, I'm going to be using a 4.5mm hook and yarn size that's appropriate for your hook. We're going to start off by making a slip knot. To make a slip knot, you wrap your yarn around your fingers in kind of like an X shape. Insert your hook and grab the yarn and pull. And there you'll have your slip knot. We're going to start off by chaining the width that you want for your bag. So we're going to be starting off with this width over here. So chain the length you want it to be. To chain, make sure you have some tension here. Grab onto the yarn, twist and pull it through. Make sure you keep tension by moving your fingers up as you're chaining. So I'm gonna go with this width over here. It's completely up to you. I would recommend making it slightly bigger than the width of your phone so your phone can comfortably fit inside it. Now we're going to be doing our turning chain. This chain won't add anything to the width, but it's just going to help us start our first row of single crochets. So you're gonna skip this turning chain since it doesn't count, and we're gonna go into the second chain over here. And we're going to make a single crochet. That is how you do a single crochet. You insert your hook into the chain, pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through both loops. And you're going to be inserting a single crochet in all of the chains all the way down. I've reached my last chain, the one near your slip knot. And once you're done with that, you basically have your first row. Now, typically what we do in crochet pieces is that we turn our work and then start working on top over here, on top of our previous stitches. But to make this much easier for you and much faster, so you won't have to do any joining, what we're gonna do is we're gonna be working in rounds. So first we have to make this into a round. And to do that, we're gonna be working on this edge over here. So not on top of your stitches, but on the other side of the chain that you started with. So what we're going to do first is we're going to be inserting an increase in this chain over here. So go into that same chain and insert 2 more single crochets. So that's 1 and 2. So you'll have a total of 3 chains over there. If you've done my love letter book sleeve with me, then you're probably already familiar with this technique. But once you're done with that, you're gonna go into the next chain. So you see these loops, those basically count as your chains. You're just gonna go in the loop and you're gonna be inserting 1 single crochet in each of these loops over here. And what this is gonna do is it's going to start making a round, and then you can just keep inserting 1 single crochet all around the round and you'll be done in no time. That's what makes this such a quick project to complete. There's no joining or slip stitching. You just crochet round and round and round until you're done. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just going in the loops and inserting 1 single crochet. I'm almost at the end. And I also worked over my end over here so I can cut it off later. And now we're back to the very last chain. So this is where we did our first single crochet when we started. And in that same place where you have your first single crochet, you're going to be inserting 2 more single crochets to make it a total of 3 in that chain. So we've got 3 here and 3 here on both ends. Now we're going to be starting working in our rounds. You don't have to do any slip stitches, any joinings. You just have to insert 1 single crochet in each stitch. So now we have our base, and now we're going to be starting our rounds. You're going to find your stitches. Make sure that you're aware what your stitch looks like. You're just going to be inserting your hook into every stitch and inserting a single crochet in it. We're just going to be going around and around and around, inserting just 1 single crochet. Hopefully that makes sense. It can be a bit confusing if you've never used this technique before, but it's super simple. You don't have to keep track of anything. You just have to keep going round and round, inserting one single crochet. And I'm gonna do this without speeding it up so you guys can really see that I'm not doing anything special. I'm just gonna be going round and round, and you're gonna see my work increase in length. And this is basically how we make our bag bigger. It's just one single crochet in each stitch. So once I come back over here, you're gonna see that you can't really tell where you ended. So I'm just gonna keep going round and round and round, and this is what's gonna be building this length that you see here. So it's all just continuous rounds. I also want to say that I am going to be making this into a scrap piece. So I'm not actually going to be making this so I can use it. I just really wanted to get the tutorial posted today. So I'm going to be making a quick scrap piece, but it is the exact same technique that I used to make the finished pieces that you saw in the beginning of the video. I'm just going to be making a smaller version of it. And of course, the length, the width, everything is completely up to you. I always make sure that my pieces aren't following a super specific pattern, so you can obviously customize them to any size that you want. I keep letting go of my loops, but basically, do you see that? It's gonna start growing in length as you keep going around. I'm just gonna give you guys a few tips and tricks while you're watching me do the rounds. You can do the rounds with me and just listen along. But basically, once you reach the corners of your rounds, please make sure you're not accidentally skipping some stitches or adding more than one stitch. Because as you can see, the stitches actually curve inward, so it's easy to miss some of them. So just take your middle finger and stretch it out like this so you can see your stitches more clearly, and then work into them. It's just a little trick. If you're still a beginner, then it might be a bit hard to keep track of the stitches you've gone into or ones that you haven't gone into. Okay, let me show you what I have so far. And this is what it looks like. I've done around 4 or 5 rounds, and as you can see, we had our chain that was a bit smaller, and when we added those increases on both corners when we were making our base, this gave it that nice little round shape. But don't worry, it's not going to be going inwards unless you're accidentally skipping stitches. So please make sure you're not skipping stitches or adding too many, otherwise you're not going to get a nice straight edge like I did over here. So once you have the length that you want for your bag, we're going to be starting the flap. So again, this is a scrap piece. I'm just making this for the tutorial. I'm not actually going to be using it. That's why it's so small. But for my actual original piece, I did make it as long as my phone, and we're going to be starting the flap over here. Now, before we start the flap, there are 2 ways of doing it. The first depends on whether you're using titch buttons. Now, these are titch buttons. They just snap on and off. If you're going to be using these to close and open your bag, then I would recommend the first method. Now, if you don't have titch buttons, if you can't find them and you want something that's easier and doesn't require that much sewing, we are going to be making a hole in the flap, and then you can sew a button or clasp on the body of the bag, and then you can just, okay, so, 1 second. So let's pretend this is a button, and there's nothing here, there's just a little hole. So you would take it and then you would slide that hole on the button, keeping your flap closed. Hopefully that makes sense. I would recommend getting some titch buttons. This is what they look like. They come in packs, and you can get them usually from any craft store, sewing store, and this is how they work. So you have one snap-on piece that looks like this, and then one with a hole, and then they just snap on together like that. So if you're using titch buttons, here is how to do the first method to make the flap. You just stop at any corner. So you're going around, just stop at any one corner and then turn your work, and then insert your hook back through the stitches. And now we're going to be working in rows instead of rounds. And I'm just inserting 1 single crochet in each stitch. And I'm gonna do this until I reach, I'm just gonna do this until I reach over here. So I've reached the end, and this row that you just did is basically how big your flap is gonna be. So instead of working in rounds, you're gonna turn your work again, and you're just gonna be inserting 1 single crochet in each stitch, until you reach the end of this row. So 1 single crochet in each stitch until you come over here. Once you reach the end of your row, let me just show you the flap. It's gonna look something like that. Once you reach the end of the row, just keep doing rows until you have the length that you want for your flap. Once you have that length, then I'm gonna be showing you how to do the curved edges, like over here. So starting from here till here, do as many rows as you need to, and then the last 2 rows will be the curved edge. So I did 4 rows, and this is what my flap looks like. I'm ready to start the curved edge. So to do the curved edge, we are going to be single crocheting 2 stitches together. Turn your work to start your next row, and then insert your hook, pull up a loop, but don't complete the single crochet. Instead, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop. Once you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. And that is how you single crochet 2 stitches together. And now just insert 1 single crochet in each stitch until you have 2 stitches left at the end. Here I've got 2 stitches left, and we're going to be single crocheting them together as well to make that nice curved edge. And there you have your first row of the curved edge. You're going to turn your work, and then we're going to do another row to give it more of that curved shape. And then once again, you're going to be single crocheting 2 together to make the curve. Insert your hook, pull up a loop, but don't finish the single crochet. Go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through all 3 to single crochet 2 together. And now once more, you're just going to be inserting 1 single crochet in each stitch until you have 2 stitches left. I've got 2 stitches left. Let's single crochet them together. And there you go. There is your flap. My scrap piece is really small, so you can barely see it, but there's the curved edge. This is what the flap looks like. And I'm so sorry about the noise. There's just someone walking very, very loudly outside my dorm room, and it's super annoying. I'm really sorry about that. But yeah, this is what it looks like. And once you're done, you're just gonna be chaining 1, 2, and then cut over here, and then just pull and then tighten the chains to secure. And that is how you're gonna be doing it if you're using stitch buttons. Now, I'm not gonna be showing you how to sew this on because you should probably already know how to sew. You're gonna be taking your decorative charm. So you could use a charm, you could use a button, and you're gonna sew that on first over here. You don't need to, of course, you could leave it plain, but if you wanna add like a decorative piece, I recommend sewing this on first. And then you're gonna take your stitch button. Sorry, let me just open this up. And what I recommend doing is taking the snap-on piece, the whole piece, and sewing it on at the body, and then taking your snap-on piece and then sewing it on here like that. And then you can basically open and close it. If you're not using stitch buttons, I'm going to show you what to do next. So you're going to do the same thing that you did for the first method, and you're just going to stop before you start the curved edge. So I did 2 rows of the curved edge. I'm just going to unravel those so I can show you what to do instead. Okay, so I'm left with only the regular rows of single crochet that I did to give the length of the flap. I hope this isn't too confusing, but for the second method where you have a hole that you can slide on your button, I would recommend sewing on your button first so you can see how long your flap needs to be and where you need to make this hole that can go around your button. But you're basically going to be sewing the button on, and then in the rows where you're making the curved edge, you're going to be inserting a hole. So let's make the curved edge by single crocheting 2 stitches together, like that. And I'm gonna insert 1 single crochet in each stitch until I come maybe over here, like that. Is that the middle? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, what I'm gonna do, so you need to find like the middle of your flap and then leave a hole there. So I'm just gonna chain the number of stitches that you're gonna be skipping to make the hole. I'm gonna be skipping 2, so I chained 2, and then single crochet into the stitch afterwards. So I skipped 2, so I chained 2 to make the hole, and I'm just going to be inserting 1 single crochet until I reach the end, and then I'm going to be single crocheting these 2 stitches together to make the curved edge, like that. And there you have your hole. Let me do another row of the curved edge to build some length. So turn your work and then single crochet 2 stitches together, insert 1 single crochet in each stitch. Oh, and I'm going to show you what to do. So over here you have your chain 2. You're just going to be inserting 2 single crochets in that chain 2 space. If you chained 3, you're going to be inserting 3 single crochets. If you chained 4, 4 single crochets. It just depends. Just please make sure that you don't make your hole too big. It should be tight so your bag can stay secure. So don't make it too loose, otherwise it might just slide off your button or charm that you're using. So again, chain 1, 2 to fasten off. Let me show you how this is gonna work. So let's pretend that you have sewed on your button on the bag. You're just gonna take this hole and you're gonna be sliding it around your button, like that. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Here's how to fasten off your work. So you just chain 1 or 2, and then you cut, and you pull, and tighten. That is how you fasten your work off, and then you can weave this in, or however you like to conceal your ends. And now we're gonna be starting the strap. So take your yarn, make a little loop with it. It's just a regular loop. And then insert your hook into the stitch that is closest to your flap. So I'm gonna insert it here. Slide your loop through like that. I'm gonna hold on to the end over here, make it tight, and then chain the length that you want for your strap. And this method of making the strap will make sure that your strap doesn't stretch, because the chains cannot stretch. If you've made the heart bag with me, I have a tutorial for it up on my channel. If you've made that with me, then you're already familiar with this technique. But basically, I'm so proud of coming up with this. When you chain the base of your strap, the chains don't stretch. So when you put something heavy in your bag, it won't like stretch and become so long. It's gonna stay roughly the same length that you make it. Okay, so I'm gonna go with this length. Once you have the length that you want, you're gonna be going into the other side of your flap, right next to the stitch that's next to your flap. Insert your hook, and then you're gonna be slip stitching. So grab onto the yarn and pull it through like that. Okay, I'm gonna do it again so you guys can see it better. You have your chain over here, go into the inside, insert your hook, pull it, and then you're gonna slip stitch. So that means you're gonna slide this through your chain as well, like that. And then slip stitch into the next stitch, like that. And now you're gonna be building, well, the width of the stitch by just doing 1 single crochet in each chain. So turn your work so it's facing like that, and this is what it'll look like. This is the front of the chain, but you're gonna be working on the back side of the chain. So insert your hook into each chain and just do 1 single crochet in each chain. I'm gonna show you a close-up of exactly where I'm going. This is 1 chain, 2, 3, 4. I go in like that. This is just a neater way of doing it. You can, of course, insert the single crochet in the front of the chain like you normally would, but I found that this gives me a nicer finish for my strap. And yeah, that's it. Just single crochet until you come back on this side. I'm at the end over here. My piece is so small, it's kind of hard for me to show you, but I'm basically going to do my last single crochet in that very last chain over there. Oops, this is happening a lot. I don't know what's wrong today. And now we're going to be ending the strap by slip stitching into the stitch that is next to where you started your work, like that. And that's it. You're basically done. You can chain 1, chain 2, you can fasten off like we did over here, and you're basically all done with the body of your bag. This is what it looks like. I've got a really small one, but yeah, I think this would be such a cute little present. And now we're going to be doing the card holder in the back. Now for the card holder, I'm going to be making it the size that I made over here so you can really see how I did it. And yeah, let's get started. So keep the card that you want to make this for over here. I am going to include the measurements of my card holder in case you want to look at that in the description box. You're going to start off by making a slip knot, so just like how we did it before. And now you're going to chain the length that is slightly bigger than the card. Mine is kind of like a standard card, and if you make it this size, it can also fit Polaroids. So yeah, it's pretty versatile. So you're just going to chain the length that you want your card holder to be. Now, of course, the card holder is open, so if you have like a Metro card or something, you don't have to take it out. You can just scan it while it's in the bag, and this makes it super convenient. For example, if you have your credit card or like a wireless card, you can just scan it. You don't have to worry about taking it out or anything. Or you can just put a cute little Polaroid of you, your family, your cats. That would be super cute. So this is how long I'm going to make my chain. As you can see, there's like one chain on both sides that's going slightly out of the card. And then we're going to do our turning chain. This won't count towards our stitches. Then we're going to single crochet into the second chain from our hook. And now you're just going to insert 1 single crochet in each chain all the way down the row. Here's what it looks like. And now we're going to be, so don't chain 1. Usually as a beginner, you might have seen the technique where you chain 1 and then turn your work, but to get really straight edges, don't chain 1, just turn your work. And now we're going to be doing another row of just regular single crochets. So insert 1 single crochet in each stitch until the end of the row. Now the next part is going to get a bit confusing, so please make sure you're paying attention and really focusing on how I'm explaining it. You have your card, and now we're going to be working on these borders over here. But we're not going to be working on the borders in a continuous way. Basically, we're not going to be working on the borders in a continuous way. We're going to do one border first, start the other border, and then on top of the second border, we're going to make this and then connect it over here. So what's going to happen is when we make this first border, we are going to make it 1 less row than we want it to be. So if you want the border to be as tall as this, you're not going to make it as tall as this. You're going to make it 1 less. Then when we do the second border, we're going to make it the length that we want it to be. So 1 more than the one we did here. And once we have that, we're going to chain and connect it here by doing single crochets, which will then make both the lengths the same. And then we're going to do 2 more rows on top, and then we're going to be done. So hopefully that gives you some context in what we're about to do. We're going to start the first border now. So turn your work and decide on what width you want the border to be. I'm just putting single crochets in. And I'm going to do 3 single crochets because that is how wide I want the first border or both my borders to be. And then I'm just going to turn my work, and then I'm going to do another row, just 1 single crochet in each stitch. For me, I've got 3 single crochets. Turn my work and keep doing rows until I have the length that I want. But remember, it should be 1 less than the actual length you want it to be. And this is going to make more sense once I've finished mine and then shown you what I'm doing. Here I have done 10 rows of the single crochets, 3 single crochets, and now you're just gonna fasten off and cut the yarn because you don't need this anymore. So just chain 1, 2, fasten off and cut, and tighten. Now we're going to be starting the other side. Please make sure you keep count of how many rows you do. If you do an even number, for example 10 is an even number, then you're going to start your second border from this side. If you did an odd number, like for example 9, then you will start your border from here and work like this. So I did 10, an even number, so I'm going to attach my yarn here and work like that. So let me just show you how I'm going to do that. You're just going to make a loop and then attach it depending on how many rows you did. So even number, you're going to attach it over here. Let me just pull it through. So that's just how you attach it. If you did an odd number, then I would like you to turn your work. Let me just show that really quickly if you did an odd number. So you count 3 stitches. Okay, I keep apologizing, but I'm so sorry. I tried to tell the girl to be quiet. She's just not listening, and now she's just being obnoxiously loud. So if you did an odd number, you're going to attach it there and then do 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet. I know this is probably really confusing, but hopefully you get the gist of it. And yeah, once you've attached the yarn, you're just going to chain 1. Then you're just going to do 3 single crochets like you did before, and then you're going to do rows of single crochet. Just tighten this. So just like how you did the first border, you're doing your second border now. So I did 3 single crochets, which is the width that I want for my border. I'm going to do my other rows. So here I have done 10 rows. Let me just lay it flat. I've got 10 rows in my first border, 10 rows in my second border. But this is not the size of my card. I need to be adding 1 more row. So you know that you're on the right track if your 10th row or whatever row you ended with is ending on this side. However, if your hook and your last stitch are over here, then you should probably restart, maybe attach your yarn on this side or that side, because we are going to be doing that row, that 1 less row that we didn't do here. So we need a total of 11 rows, right? But we've got 10, so we need to do 1 more. So I'm going to turn my work, and then I'm going to do my 11th row to make this the same size as my card, but only on the second border. And now we're going to be doing this 11th row in the first border, and to do that we need to first join the pieces. Make sure you remember how many chains you did. I did 12 chains. Now we're going to do a bit of math. So we have 12 chains in total, and you've got 3 here, 3 here. So 12 minus 3 minus 3, 12 minus 6, that leaves 6. So we have 3 stitches here, 3 stitches here, so a total of 6 stitches. Now we need to make the stitches here so that the total will be 12, just like over here. So since we've got 6, we just need to do 6 more stitches here, and then it'll be a total of 12, the same as over here. So what you're going to do is you're just going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or the number that you need. So do that bit of math and then find out how many chains you need to do to make it the same number of stitches. And now you're just going to be doing your 11th row on this first border that you made. You're just going to go into that single crochet. So you just go into that single crochet in the first border, and then you make another single crochet. Then you do 2 more to complete this 11th row. And there you go. This is basically what you have. This is how it works. Make sure that the number of stitches you have here is the same as what you started with. And yeah, that's it. Now you're just going to turn your work and then insert 1 single crochet in each stitch, and you're going to do 2 more rows of regular single crochets, and then you'll be done with the card holder. So I did 3, and now I have to work into my chains. Make sure you're keeping count. It should be 6 single crochets in each of the 6 chains, and then 3 single crochets in both your borders, making a total of 6. 6 plus 6 makes 12, so we have the same number of stitches as what we started with. Okay, I'm almost done. And once you're done with your first row, you're just going to turn your work and then do your second row the same as before. I finished my second row, and there you go. There is your little card holder. And then you're just going to fasten off by chaining 1, 2, and cut just like we did before. And then you can sew this piece onto the back of your bag. I'm not going to show you because it's sewing. You can do it with a tapestry needle. You can do it with a regular needle. You can use thread. You can use yarn. Just sew it onto the back of your bag. And then this is how it should look like. Your card can go in, can come out. So make sure that you're sewing only these corners and leaving this part open, so don't sew this. And this is how your card or Polaroid basically slides in and out. And there you go. That is how you make this cute little bag. It's so amazing to give as little gifts in the coming holidays because this is something everyone will find useful. And yeah, I hope you like this tutorial. Let me know what color you're doing in the comments and what I should do next.